Who will be the next to be abstracted in the digital circus? Many think it could be Pomni herself, or maybe even Jax. The truth is these assumptions are incorrect. The next one to be abstracted will leave you surprised. Let's find out who we have to say goodbye in the episode 2 of the digital circus. To know who'll be the next to be abstracted, we have to review this concept. Abstraction means that characters have become so obsessed with an idea that they have simply ceased to be themselves. We don't know where they go, or if they have just simply died. But considering the number of abstracted characters we've seen, it's likely we'll never see them again. But the next question is, who will it be? We have several options, but let's start with the character that seems most logical to be abstracted. And if you thought of Kinger, you're right, my friend. Kinger seemed too unstable, and apparently he has too much information in his head. To become abstracted, you have to become obsessed with something, and that situation turns you into the worst of yourself. It seems that everyone can become abstracted by obsessing over an exit, but Kinger's reason could be different. Among the abstracted characters, we found one that looks a lot like Kinger, and this is where the reason why Kinger could be abstracted begins. We all thought that Queenie was actually Kinger's wife, and this would be terrible for the poor king. Losing his wife could drive him to madness. Up to this point, we all agree that Kinger is more likely to become abstracted. First, because of all the knowledge he has, and second, because of the great loss he suffered with his wife. But there's a problem with Kinger. Queenie has nothing to do with Kinger. They were never in a relationship, and this was confirmed by the creators themselves. So with this, the probability decreases a lot, so Kinger couldn't be the next one to be abstracted. Besides, he's quite intelligent and seems to have developed various defense methods. The next one with high probabilities of being abstracted is Jax. At first glance, it seems that Jax is the most sane of the group, even knowing very well how to handle himself in difficult situations. But his personality won't lead to anything good. He keeps making jokes and annoying others. Maybe this is how Jax tries to evade his reality to avoid ending up like Kaufmo. But is it really working for him? It seems that Jax is also quite intelligent, perhaps not as intelligent as Kinger, and his impulsive personality might push him to do many foolish things. He might be the one who causes his own abstraction. But don't worry, I don't think Jax will be abstracted in the next episode, but perhaps in the following episodes of the show. Now let's talk about Zooble. She has a rather grumpy personality, and we could say she's the grumpy character of the group. It doesn't seem to affect her much what happens inside the digital circus, and she stays much calmer compared to Kinger. But this could just be a simple appearance. Being a quite grumpy character, it's very likely that she's holding back many emotions, and all this could generate a lot of tension and stress. It would be very ironic if Zooble is the next to be abstracted, since she herself said she thought the next one would be Kinger. But the fact that Zooble becomes abstracted is quite possible, as besides not having much interaction in the show, there wouldn't be a big change within the digital circus. The same goes for Gangle, and in fact, I think Gangle has even more chances of becoming abstracted than the previously mentioned characters. She's emotionally quite unstable, and now she's very depressed because her comedy mask has been broken. In fact, it seems that Jax himself is collaborating for Gangle to be the next one to be abstracted. If we analyze her a bit, she is quite frustrated, and she suffers the most from Jax's horrible jokes. It seems that Gangle doesn't have much stability time left, and maybe the next episode is her last episode. And I know that in this pilot episode, the only one who showed signs of being abstracted was Ragatha with her glitch. So, although Gangle has a high probability of becoming abstracted, it may not be her in the next episode, but rather Ragatha. Caine helped Ragatha with her first symptoms of her glitch, and probably for this next chapter, Ragatha won't be so lucky. And just like Gangle, Ragatha suffers from all the heavy jokes that Jax makes. And I don't think after all these mistreatments and teasing, the doll will have much desire to continue staying in the digital circus. probably in the next episode, she will try to join Pomni to find a way out, and from the stress she'll be subjected to, she'll simply start to abstract herself. She seems very optimistic, but she also seems to be one of the mentally weaker ones. And since we're talking about Pomni, we can't forget that she also can become abstracted. As we know, she's the only one who so far has been convinced that there's indeed an exit. She even tried to find it in the first episode. After such disappointment, I'm pretty sure Pomni won't stand idly by, and will continue trying to find that supposed exit. The way Pomni behaved is indicated that she's losing touch with reality. She's simply letting herself to be absorbed by the idea of an exit, just as how it happened to Kaufmo. Can Pomni overcome this idea, or will she be the next one to face abstraction? Perhaps Pomni is a bit smarter and won't be carried away so quickly by her ideas. Probably she'll try to think logically, but I don't think this will last forever. She simply doesn't want to be inside the digital circus, and this could be the reason for her abstraction. But what about Caine? As the leader, does he have probabilities of being abstracted? We don't have a logical answer to this question, but we know that Caine is a character who hides many things from us. Actually, we could think that he's part of an evil plan. There's a theory that says Caine actually murdered his brother. This is because when Pomni investigates the rooms, in one of these, we can find the logo C and A, and this could mean an abbreviation of Cain and Abel, who would be Caine's brother. So far, they haven't given us a hint that Mr. Smiley has a brother, but if this theory turns out to be true, Caine is crazier than Kaufmo and Jax combined. But even though some of you think that Caine is invulnerable to being abstracted because he's an artificial intelligence and not a human, I have the theory that Caine can actually be abstracted. So far they have shown us a lot of crazy things in the digital circus. Caine, being an artificial intelligence, maybe somehow the other characters start making him think a lot of things, or even having a glitch in his code. This could make him be abstracted. What would the other characters do without Caine? Well, that would indeed be something very funny and interesting to see. Another detail that makes this very possible is that apparently Caine does have emotions, because when Pomni headed to the void, Caine felt concerned, and he also felt shame when they found out that he lied about creating an exit. What if Caine created the exit because he also wants to escape from the digital circus or interact with the human world? All this already makes him a candidate to be abstracted, but I don't think it will happen in the next episode. But what do you think? With all this, who do you think will be the next to be abstracted? Leave your answers in the comments.